I'm Sherae Honeycutt. Extreme drought calls for extreme measures. Why not everybody has to play by the same rules? Coming up on State of Events.
Coming up on State of Events, I'll show you an undocumented man who is not in a rush to become a legal resident.
Hello and welcome to State of Events. I'm Ashley Keene.
And I'm Erica Catteray. Thank you for joining us.
California's drought is hitting a new low. Last week, due to the state's snowpack at record lows, Governor Jerry Brown put in place mandatory cutbacks for water use. State of Events' Sherae Honeycutt is live in Los Gatos, where the effects of the drought are clear. Sherae?
Thanks, Ashley. The Lexington Reservoir is considered critically low. In fact, where I'm standing right now should be underwater. That's just one of the many reasons that Governor Jerry Brown is restricting people's water use. But not everyone has to play by those rules. The state's agricultural industry is exempt. Agriculture uses about 80% of California's water and is less than 2% of the economy. On ABC's This Week, Governor Jerry Brown stressed that this executive order isn't focused on how much water is used, but to make sure that the water is not wasted.
By the way, they're not watering their lawn or taking long showers, providing most of the fruits and vegetables of America. Now, of course we could shut it off. If you don't want to produce any food and import it from some other place, theoretically you could do that. But that would displace hundreds of thousands of people, and I don't think it's needed. I can tell you from California, the climate change is not a hoax. We're dealing with it, and it's damn serious.
The goal of the restrictions is to cut water use by 25% in the state. The Water Resource Board says agencies that fail to meet the guidelines could face large fines, up to $10,000 per day. 2015 is California's 5th year in a drought, and as you can see from all this exposed land behind me, it's not getting any better. Live in Los Gatos, I'm Sherae Honeycutt for State of Events. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Sherae. Students here at San Francisco State are being asked to do their part. Residents on campus are being asked to take shorter showers, not let unnecessary water run in sinks, not to overfill bathtubs, and report any leaks around campus housing. The university property management hopes to make the community more drought tolerant. Here are some things you can do to save water. Tip number 1, fix those leaks. Whether it may be in your shower or faucet, each leak could be wasting 20 gallons a day. Tip number 2, don't flush every time. Each toilet flush uses 3.5 to 7 gallons of water. So if you don't need to flush, save the water for your shower. And lastly, tip number 3, use washing machines for full loads only. You can also wash your dark colors in cold water. Both of these will save water and energy. Tweet us at SOEBECA with your suggestions on how you are conserving water. The San Jose airport has recently experienced its 5th breach in less than a year. This makes Mineta the airport with the most breaches in the nation. A woman allegedly jumped a fence and trespassed onto the property. She was eventually detained after resisting arrest. The airport is planning to improve security to prevent any future breaches.
Thousands of people gathered at San Jose's SAP Center last Thursday to pay respects to a fallen police officer. San Jose police officer Michael Johnson was shot and killed late last month while responding to a call. The memorial attracted officers from all over the country. Michael Johnson was a 14-year veteran of the San Jose Police Department. The San Jose Police Department's computer system was down for several hours on March 24th. This was right after the shooting of Officer Michael Johnson. According to Deputy Chief Jeff Marazoic, several officers were concerned and requested to view documents. There were hundreds of pages of documents being brought up at the same time, which caused a crash that lasted until the next morning. Police said they were able to communicate with each other through the radios during the shutdown. The department hopes to replace their 11-year-old computer system sometime soon.
Guards at San Francisco's county jail may have forced inmates into prize fighting. The city's public defender's office says inmates were threatened with physical harm if they refused. Some inmates say they were hurt and were told to lie about their injuries. The San Francisco Deputy Sheriff's Association says the allegations are exaggerated. 4 deputies were suspended with pay, pending an internal investigation.
Many undocumented immigrants are waiting for Obama's executive order to kick in. But there are a few who don't seem to care much. Xavier Galindo has the details. Xavier?
Thank you, Ashley. Yesterday, 70 cities joined a legal brief asking an appeals court to allow Obama's deportation relief program to move forward. But for Malcolm, which is a pseudonym to hide his real identity, coming out of the shadows may not be the best option.
He likes flashy things, expensive clothes, fancy cars, and claims to live his life in the fast lane. But contrary to what you may be thinking, Malcolm makes his money legally. Well, at least in the United States.
Nosotros nos dedicamos a la venta y compra de carros. Compramos carros aquí en los Estados Unidos, los llevamos a las fronteras, legalizamos y los vendemos en México.
That's right. Think of Malcolm as an international car salesman in the Mexican black market, one who does not pay taxes and relies on Mexican corruption for his business to thrive.
Mexico has 6 million imported used cars in its roads, most of which come from the United States. These cars cannot be sold or registered legally, but they are still in high demand because they are cheaper and in better condition than cars sold in Mexico.
They call them chocolates. And these cars are illegal because they have not been given a special permit to stay in Mexico for more than 72 hours and or they have crossed the 25 miles radius permitted for tourists. But unlike real chocolates, these don't melt when the heat is on. All you have to do is give it a bite, a mordida, a slang term for bribe in Mexico.
¿Y qué pasa si un policía te agarra en México y te quiere quitar el carro?
Usualmente siempre paran y tratan de agarrar una excusa para poder decomisar el carro, pero si traes todo legal, así que nada más se les da para el refresco y ya todo sale bien.
A small price to pay for an operation that has business partners, employs mechanics, drivers, and people in charge of selling the cars once they get to Mexico. But how much does Malcolm make as head of the operation?
Mínimo, ya con gastos incluidos y pagándole a toda la gente, sería de $2,000 a $3,000 por cada carro que se manda.
That's an average of $12,000 a month. Not bad for someone who was once an undocumented immigrant. Perhaps his lifestyle is a sign of rebellion against the exploitation of Mexican workers who have made Mexico the #1 exporter of cars in the world, but can't afford to buy the same cars they built. Whatever it is, Malcolm is driven to take advantage of this opportunity for as long as his people demand it.
Obama's immigration reform has been delayed by a federal judge since February. Those policies aim to help 5 out of the 11 million undocumented immigrants living in the United States. Most Democrats believe that this process is necessary. This is Xavier Galindo, live from the studio, State of Events.
A UC Berkeley student that went missing has been found dead. 19-year-old Eloy Vasquez went on a trip with some friends to Southern California. There, they attended a fraternity party near USC. Vasquez went missing after he left the party alone without his money, identification, or wallet. At around 2:30 a.m., a California Highway Patrol officer found the dead body of a pedestrian who was struck and killed on the 10 freeway. The Los Angeles coroner's office confirmed that the body was the missing UC Berkeley student. A toxicology report will be done to see if there were drugs or alcohol in his system.
On March 24th, Germanwings Flight 9525 crashed into the French Alps. The flight was headed to Dusseldorf from Barcelona. All 150 people aboard were killed. Investigators have revealed co-pilot Andreas Lubitz's intent to crash the plane. A tablet found at Lubitz's home shows searches on cockpit security. He also had a history of mental illness. Lubitz was recently deemed unfit to fly. German wings say they never received these doctor's notes.
Almost 150 people are dead and another 100 are injured after a terrorist attack at a Kenyan university. The Islamic extremist group Al-Shabaab is taking responsibility for the massacre. 5 suspects have been arrested. Now, they are threatening more attacks on Kenya in the future. The Kenyan government is releasing new information. One of the attackers, the son of a government official. The Kenyan president is condemning the attacks. Saturday, a 19-year-old student was rescued from her room 48 hours after the assault. She said she hid beneath clothes in a cupboard while gunmen surrounded up her roommates.
Then these people ended in our room, and then they told my other roommates who had hidden themselves in the underbed. They told them to come out, to go out.
We shall continue to build a strong, prosperous, and secure nation. That is the greatest testament we can offer to those precious departed that we have lost.
Friends and relatives have been streaming into Garissa, awaiting news about their loved ones. The Education Ministry has closed the university indefinitely.
The United States struck a deal with Iran on the future of its nuclear program. Many people around the world are praising the agreement. But reporter Oscar Maciel shows us why others are still skeptical. Oscar?
Thanks, Ashley. Well, deep divides between the U.S. and Iran stalled any kind of nuclear agreement. Now, after 36 years of friction, the two countries may have a deal in place. But some political hardliners think the U.S. is giving up too much.
The streets of Iran erupted with joy after news of their nuclear agreement with the U.S. At the White House, President Barack Obama presented the deal to the American public.
Today, the United States, together with our allies and partners, has reached a historic understanding with Iran, which, if fully implemented, will prevent it from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
The main points of the deal include blocking Iran from building a nuclear bomb. Nuclear fuel and wastewater would be regulated, and Iran agrees to heavier UN inspections. In exchange, the U.S. and its allies would lift sanctions. Despite the positive results, some critics say the deal falls short.
We need the inspectors to have the ability to go in there and verify. And until that happens, it looks to me like we're being rolled.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says,
"This deal would pose a grave danger to the region and to the world, and would threaten the very survival of the State of Israel."
This deal doesn't dismantle one centrifuge, it doesn't close one site, and I believe there's a better deal.
Republican Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina says the main problem is the deal's negotiator.
Obama is a flawed negotiator. His foreign policy has failed on multiple fronts. Nobody in the region trusts him. The Iranians do not fear or respect him, so he'll never be able to get the best deal.
But despite critics' opinions, President Obama stood by the new framework.
I am confident that we can show that this deal is good for the security of the United States, for our allies, and for the world.
It's unclear if Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khomeini, will even accept the terms of the deal. Negotiators have until June 30th to finalize the details. Until then, there are still a lot of differences of opinion to overcome.
An Oakland resident who was visiting Yemen was killed this weekend. Jamal al-Labani and his nephew were struck by a rebel tank. War has broken out in Yemen, and Labani has been unsuccessful in attempts to leave the country. He traveled to visit his wife and daughter in hopes of bringing them back to the U.S. Up next on State of Events, gas prices in the Bay Area may not be rising.
Meanwhile, housing prices in San Francisco keep climbing. We'll show you one house that just sold in the millions.
Coming up next, I'll tell you what Ivy League school is offering cheap tuition.
Even common daily routines can make important changes. Changes like higher wages, better living, and justice. Sometimes it's just a matter of making the right choice. Fair Trade certified coffees are bought directly from family farmers. guaranteeing them better incomes and strengthening their communities. Fair Trade Certified. Taste fairness. Look for the label wherever you buy coffee.
Welcome back to State of Events. Good news for college students. Stanford University is giving free tuition to students who qualify. Our reporter Christian Franklin has more.
Thank you, Ashley. Stanford is finally making college affordable. The university is offering free tuition to families that make under $125,000. Stanford also announced that families with incomes below $65,000 won't pay for room and board. Today, undergrad tuition at Stanford is over $45,000, not including room and board. A reporter from Vox reports that Stanford is able to be so generous with its financial aid because it has an endowment of over $21 billion, making it the richest university. Here I have Dewana Stewart. Dewana, now that Stanford is offering free tuition, would you have applied there?
I think I definitely would have jumped at the occasion to get my master's and my teaching credentials, especially at Stanford, because I know the opportunity alone is just awesome.
Now, Dewana, you're not the only one. Other students have also thought the same thing. The university gave admission to 2,100 students out of 42,000 applicants. This is the largest in the history. I'm Christian Franklin, reporting for State of Events. Back to you in the studio.
Changes are ahead for McDonald's. Starting in July, the company will increase their wages to $1 above the local minimum wage. By the end of 2016, the hourly wage in company-owned McDonald's will be more than $10 an hour. In addition to the wage increase, workers will get paid time off. 90% of McDonald's are owned by franchises. However, these changes only affect company-owned stores.
San Francisco has always been a popular tourist spot. According to San Francisco Travel Association, more than 18 million people visited the city by the bay, and they spent a whopping $11 billion. The number of jobs supported by the tourism rose by more than 13%. Experts are expecting even higher numbers for 2015.
And as the tourism in San Francisco is increasing, the traffic in the Bay Area is too. According to TomTom.com, San Francisco has the second worst traffic in the country, just behind Los Angeles on a global scale. The city is ranked 26, but Los Angeles beats out Paris, London, and Rome with the number 10 spot.
Good news for drivers, a pleasant decrease in gas might be here to stay. Our reporter Michelle Quintero explains. Michelle?
Yes, Ashley. Californians have been on a roller coaster ride when it comes to their gas prices. It seems we are now entering the much welcomed phase of the ride, where we will begin to see fees dropping. California's gas prices will start decreasing due to the plummet in the price of crude oil globally. Some economists believe this price drop will continue for the next couple of decades. Despite many issues that could force prices to increase, they believe the price of oil barrels will stay at $50 to $70 over the next 20 years. The reasons for this reduction in costs include America's recent shale oil production, technology innovations, and the declining role of the OPEC. This comes after an explosion at a major refinery in Southern California and the workers' strike at the Tesoro refinery in Martinez. These incidents forced Californians to pay greater amounts at the pump from mid-February to mid-March. California's gas prices continue to be the highest in the nation at $3.20. That's 80 cents above the national average. But this sudden decrease could help lessen the burden for the 24.6 million drivers in the state. Reporting live, I'm Michelle Quintero, State of Events.
For those of you who have ever been skipped by a Munibus because it was too full, you might be in luck. The SF Municipal Transportation Agency is giving the transit system the biggest upgrade in almost a decade. Riders can expect to see more buses out on frequently used lines. These changes come at a convenient time with the rise of other transportation systems like Uber and other private bus lines. Change is expected to take place on April 25th.
Just when you thought San Francisco housing was too expensive, well, you were right. A Pacific Heights home has just sold for almost $23.9 million. So far, it's the biggest 2015 sale in San Francisco, but the home might not hold the title for SF's most expensive sale for long. According to Curve.com, another Pac Heights home just landed the market at a hefty $30 million.
In the last month, San Francisco's Mission District has seen 3 major fires. These fires have roughly displaced over 100 San Franciscans. As the buildings are boarded up and their burnt belongings thrown in the street, some questions are being raised behind the fires. Coincidentally, all 3 fires burnt buildings that were home to low-income residents.
San Francisco dog owners are not happy. They're losing up to 80% of their off-leash dog parks. Sepina Gillisurup is live in the newsroom with the full story. Sepina?
San Francisco is home to over 100,000 dogs. And since backyards are limited here, dog owners take to the parks to let their pups play.
Off-leash dog parks where dogs can play fetch may be harder to find very soon. The National Park Service oversees the Golden Gate National Recreation Lands, and they're dramatically producing areas like this for off-leash dogs. Dog owner Timothy Tatton shares the same concerns as many other dog lovers.
It seems more cruel for me to keep this little guy, who has so much energy, on a leash.
National Park Service Director Jonathan Jarvis responds to critics during a KQED interview.
There are other people here that want to come visit, whether they are local or from Europe or Japan or China, that don't necessarily want to have that experience with a dog off leash.
The new plan is set to go into effect in early 2016.
The National Park Service is leaving 7 areas for off-leash dog play, and they say this is unheard of in any other national park. Back to you in the studio.
It's been a big week for sports in the Bay Area.
Both the A's and the Giants had exciting opening days.
And SF State's Gators held the annual Track and Field Distance Carnival.
That's next on State of Events.
On sale at bookstores and newsstands near you.
Experience Theater Bay Area Magazine.
Welcome back to State of Events. I'm Shelby Nilsson with your sports report. Duke has officially claimed its 5th NCAA men's basketball crown. The Blue Devils won the championship in a nail-biting title contest Monday night in Indianapolis. They defeated a relentless Wisconsin team 68-63. The Badgers were playing in the school's first national title since 1941. Freshman Tyus Jones led Duke with 23 points and 5 rebounds. Jones was named the most outstanding player in the Final Four. There were 16 lead changes, 5 ties, and enough excitement to last the entire month of March. Coach Krzyzewski now has 5 titles, which places him second on the all-time list behind John Wooden. The Blue Devils have won another trophy to add to their collection. Every spring, the WWE holds its biggest event of the year. And last month, it was held in Northern California for the first time. John Wilson shows us why it may have been the best one yet.
Mania hit Levi's Stadium on March 29th. WrestleMania, that is. According to the stadium's website, ticket prices ranged from $35 all the way up to $2,000, and fans were more than happy to pay the price.
Man, it's like a dream come true, like childhood dreams coming true right now, man.
The fact that it's in the Bay Area, you know, like it's always been a dream, you know.
Others made the trip to Levi's for more noble reasons.
We actually flew out here for my brother who passed away about a month ago, and he bought the tickets.
Casey said her brother Matt wanted to see Sting. The former WCW superstar fought Triple H in his first ever match in the WWE. It ended up being one of the best of the night because of guest appearances by D-Generation X and NWO. And Triple H arguably had the best entrance of the night, when he rose out from the stage decked in Terminator gear to honor Arnold Schwarzenegger. Meanwhile, several other fans were hoping to get a glimpse of the people's champ.
I hope The Rock comes out, that's all I'm going to say.
And what if he did?
I will scream like a little girl. I will scream like a little girl.
I'm not sure if he ended up screaming or not, but The Rock did get the crowd roaring. He brought out UFC star Ronda Rousey and they tussled with Stephanie McMahon and Triple H. The Undertaker improved his WrestleMania record to 22-1 by defeating Bray Wyatt. And in the main event with the WWE Heavyweight Championship on the line, Brock Lesnar looked to be headed for an easy victory over Roman Reigns. That was until Seth Rollins stunned the crowd by cashing in his Money in the Bank. He turned the fight into a triple threat match and pinned Reigns to take the title. The Bay Area's first ever WrestleMania was a huge success. The WWE announced it drew a record 76,976 in attendance. It had the type of twists and turns that had many people saying it was the best WrestleMania in years, and I didn't get body slammed. Live at Levi's Stadium for WrestleMania, I'm John Wilson, State of Events.
Opening day was in full swing Monday, and the A's had something to say about it. A sold-out crowd at O.Co Stadium got to witness the first opening day win after a 10-year losing streak. But that's not all the drama. A's starting pitcher Sonny Gray nearly pitched a no-hitter. That all went south after Ryan Rua singled at the top of the 8th. The A's ended with a cool start to the season. They won 8-0 with home run help by Stephen Vogt and new athletic Ben Zobrist. The 4-game series continues in Oakland tonight as pitchers Jesse Hahn and Colby Lewis go head-to-head. The game starts at 7:05. On the other side of the bridge, orange and black equally repped the Bay Area. The Giants held on to a 5-4 win against the Diamondbacks. Just like he did last October, Madison Bumgarner gave his team another stellar performance. He held Arizona to just 1 run in 7 innings. Top 3 hitters Nori Aoki, Joe Panik, and Angel Pagan worked together, going a combined 8 for 9 through the first 5 innings. But the Giants made sure to give fans their fair share of torture. The team blew a 5-1 lead in the 8th inning. Arizona's Jake Lamb doubled on a sharp line drive to bring 3 runs home and make the score 5-4. Jeremy Affoldt got a big out in the 8th, and Santiago Casilla pitched a perfect 9th for the save. The Giants just managed to pull out the win. A new bill may impact both of these teams as well as others across the country. Ashley Keene has more. Ashley?
Yes, Shelby. California lawmaker Tony Thurmond recently introduced a bill that would ban the use of chewing tobacco at major league ballparks. The use of smokeless tobacco is increasing in younger generations who are influenced by their baseball idols. The bill introduced less than a year after baseball legend Tony Gwynn passed away from cancer believed to be related to chewing. Thurmond stated, "I'm hopeful that this bill will lend to his legacy, that it will help to prevent illness for young people and young athletes." If there is success in California, he hopes to carry the campaign to other states. Shelby, back to you.
San Francisco State's track and field team had an eventful weekend. The Gators hosted the annual 3-day distance carnival at Cox Stadium. Over 170 teams came to compete with some of the best talent in the country. Gators were able to set 14 personal records and are preparing for the conference tournament being held April 13th at Cox Stadium. Well, that's all for sports this week. I'm Shelby Nelson. Back to you guys.
Here's your weird story for the week. A recent study revealed that 10% of breast milk sold online is being mixed with cow's milk. Many women buy breast milk online because they cannot produce enough milk themselves. The problem is that the milk sold online is not regulated like it is at breast milk banks. The banks run tests, pasteurize, and store the milk safely.
That's all for this week. You can check us out at ksfsmedia.net. For State of Events, I'm Erica Cabaret.
And I'm Ashley Keene. We'll see you next week.